Hi friends, this is Rajeshwar Rayapati and I'm back with my channel Rayapati. Today we are going a bit off topic. I want to discuss about a new emerging job descriptions which is SQL plus Tableau. I got a couple of, I do attend interviews for experience. So in this, I've got a couple of profiles which say SQL plus Tableau. What does this mean? Now, when we are talking about Tableau, initially when we are working with Tableau, if you know joins and if you know how to do unions and some basic SQL understanding, that would have been fine. But now, as the Tableau is emerging with something like 2020.2, where relationships are introduced, the strategy of only Tableau is not going to work. Now that is because if I have to say joins are flat. So why are joins flat? Because the two tables are brought to a single granularity and then they are worked on it. But when the introduction of relationships, the scenario has changed. Now the tables are now when we are talking about Tableau, the tables in the Tableau are maintained at their own granularity and are joined as per requirement. That is what relationship says. So if you want to understand all that, then SQL is mandatory. So SQL is becoming a must. And in the interviews I have seen in the past couple of months, the focus of the interview is more on analytical functions. What are analytical functions? We'll come to it. But yeah, the focus is more on analytical functions. That doesn't mean the other parts of SQL are ignored. No, they are not. You'll have questions on that also. But more focus, or I can say the SQL starts with analytical functions. The questions on SQL start with analytical functions. That happened to me. So they start with analytical functions, and remember guys, then they'll directly jump into LODs, level of details. Okay, so please keep this in mind and prepare yourself according to that. Now, sorry, it's not level, it is leave. It doesn't mean that we should leave the rest of SQL. Only concentrating on analytical functions will not do. You need to know other parts of SQL, but the interview will be focused on analytical functions. And if you are learning SQL, to which level you have to learn SQL? It is better if you learn till subqueries. What do you mean by till subqueries? What is the select statement? And what do you do in what is from clause for, what is where clause for, and how do you do filtering in SQL, and then what are the functions in SQL, and also formats. There are date format, to char, to date functions. So there are date formats, so formats also, and all date, string and number functions, and joins, unions, subqueries are there are multi-level subqueries, which I'll also discuss that. So the subqueries, so these all are important. So why is now we are moving towards this much complicated level of understanding SQL? Because the to work on Tableau, the ability to understand complex queries in SQL is becoming mandatory. Why? Because first thing, you have to get your data from your database. Now earlier there used to be a database team which they used to give the data you want. Now the industry is moving towards you fetch your data. So for that you need SQL. Second thing, to understand and work with SQL. What is happening in SQL, or sorry, what is happening in Tableau when you are using relationships? Why is that happening? So all these to understand, you need to understand complex queries. Not only this, like you have initial SQL, custom SQL, even there you have to write. And above that, when you do a performance tuning test, then Tableau will give you a SQL query. You need to have the ability to understand it, and also you need to have the ability to tune it so that the performance of the workbook will increase. So that is why now the job description of Tableau is started increasing. It is increasing a lot, and it's like I can even say it is exploding. So you have to be ready for that. Okay. Now, as I told you, why is SQL became important suddenly now? Now with the 2020.2, after the introduction of 2020.2 only, this SQL plus Tableau profile has become very much important. So to understand and work with relationships, because see, in relationships what happens, you drag, they say the joins happen based on the view level. You remember data blending, right? So for blending, whatever you take, the relationships, the field you drag, everything, aggregations, everything are specific to that sheet. Now relationships are also the same. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Tableau has become similar to your DB, if not more efficient. That is because earlier you used to get the tables, join them and use it. No, now it's not. Now with relations, it is not that. You'll get your tables. You will keep those individual tables within Tableau. You can as an extract or a Tableau data source. Then you will form relations between them. And with that relations, you'll start working dynamically. Every sheet that you work, the null handling part of that sheet, depending on what dimensions you take, which sheet dimensions you take, which are nulls allowed or nulls excluded. Everything is dynamic now. So now why I say it is more efficient than DB, because with Tableau data engine like Hyper, earlier it is TD, now it is Hyper. Now the speed of working on Tableau has increased multifold. So it is much faster than your DB. And it is similar to DB because you bring your tables, keep them and use it when you require, not join them and make it flat and use. No. And as I told you, even performance tuning of or tuning report, whatever you get, even there you will get some complex queries. You need to understand them, and custom SQL and initial SQL are already there. Now, what to learn in SQL? See, there is no something like this is better, this is not better. No. The more, the merrier. The more you deep dive into SQL, the more it is easy for you to crack. Not only crack your interviews, but also to work on Tableau. It is better that you learn SQL, because in many scenarios when I answer, you might be seeing me answer most of the scenarios in social media. But when I answer, the understanding of SQL, what is actually happening behind in the Tableau, is more important when you are solving some scenarios. Okay, so SQL functions, as I told you, which includes to char, to date formats, and also these string functions, date functions, and numerical functions, and then joins and unions. This is important. And all 3+1 types of subqueries. What are the three types of subqueries? Single row subqueries, multiple row subqueries, multiple column subqueries. Okay, these three are important. What is this +1? This is correlation subqueries. So even that is important. So just browse those topics and try to understand. And then the most important topic is cardinalities. What is cardinalities? Cardinalities is, you might, when you're when you open your relationships, just see for this performance options. In there you will see one to many, one to one. So that is cardinalities. And your understanding about that cardinality is more important, because that will define you how fast your Tableau is going to work, or your data in your Tableau is going to work. And That is for cardinalities case. But see, cardinalities is very important. The more you learn about cardinalities, the easier that the Tableau is going to become for you going ahead. Now, handling nulls, this is more important because handling nulls is already a problem in many instances, and also with relationships, it will bring you new headaches because there are scenarios where nulls are there are two types of nulls. Now, nulls because of mismatch of data, one data is present in one place and the data is not present in one place. And second is by default there is null. So when relationships come into picture, there are two ways of handling them. If there is the null is due to data mismatch, then it is handled in such a separate way. And if there is a null already in that field, then it is handled in the separate way. So for this, you need to understand, if you want to understand this, you need to understand how do you handle nulls in SQL, most importantly in your subqueries. In subqueries, handling nulls, believe me, is the most toughest topic I have ever dealt with. It is an ocean. Okay, and finally, PK and FK, which is primary key and foreign key relationships. So which is primary key, what is foreign key, and there are the relation, the referential integrity relations like on delete cascade, on delete set null. Now, why are these important? Now, in Tableau, there is an option called assume referential integrity. I'll make a video on that, but assume referential integrity. Now, this referential integrity is important to improve the performance. When there are two tables, and you have certain joins, you are fetching data from these two tables, then when Tableau is communicating with them, when you say assume referential integrity, it will understand that, okay, whatever the data that is present in this table, it has a reference in the primary key or the mother table of this. So it will not go to the mother table and will fetch data only from the current table. It will improve the performance. It will not do any joins. So even that is important. So primary key and foreign key relationships along with referential integrity is also important. And these are not much important, but yeah, these are like preparing for interview questions, because these things in Tableau you'll not use. All of these, even analytical functions in Tableau will not use, but these are a part of interview. Now, what pseudo columns like curval, next val, row num, and sequences. Sequence, it is better if you know. That is because if you know sequences and also indexes, because these are the two things that help database to perform well. So if you know those, then when you are having a problem with your data, when your SQL, when you are getting data from your database, if the data is slow or it is taking too much time to load, you can ask them for a sequencing or indexing the data. Most of all, it is indexing. Sequencing is happening when you insert the data, but even if you know, it is better, and indexing will help improve the performance. Not all the time, but yeah, indexing helps improve the performance of retrieving the data. So even that is required. And views and materialized views are basically interview questions, because when end of the day, when we are working on Tableau, we don't know whether it is a view or a table or a materialized view. We don't know. We just know that there is a name and then there is a table with that name. You just get the data from. So these view and materialized views are database concepts, but it is better if you know. And finally, analytical functions. This is the core. You have to and you must know analytical functions. Okay. So what are analytical functions? Now, analytical functions are similar to our window functions. So where do window functions work? At the view level. Mean to say, when you got all your data and you have got a view, then your window functions work on that view. Similarly, analytical functions also. The data is fetched from the database, and then that data is then again all the manipulations that we do, arithmetical manipulations or any other string conversions, data, all that will happen. And the moment it is about to be presented, analytical functions are like garnishing. I feel like that, because the total meal is ready. But to make it beautiful or to make it more readable, we use analytical functions over the total data that is already prepared. So analytical functions act at the end before the data is getting presented to you. They act just like window functions. Okay, and these I'll show you an example. These are faster than normal aggregates and easy to work with. Literally, guys, if you know analytical functions, then if you want a scenario where you want employee salary with his what do means the department total department's investment, then earlier we used to go for joins. With analytical function, we need not. We can get them directly, and these are always performance oriented because they are not working on the database. That is why analytical functions are so popular. They reduce the speed or reduce the time of your query execution by more than half. And these analytical function has the ability to work across granularities. I'll show you what that is. Okay. Let me show say what are these analytical functions, and then we'll go and discuss about what to use them, how to use them. Well, I'm not going to give a total view, guys. I'm just going to show a basic one example or two. Now see, what are the analytical functions? So the analytical functions are a varied ones, where you can see in this image. Yeah, see, these are all the analytical functions. They vary across from our aggregate functions like sum and average. Now we have our aggregate functions, right? Now along with the regular aggregate function, we have analytical aggregate functions, and also other statistical functions like covariance, standard deviation, many more. The more you deep dive, the more you learn. Okay, so as I told you, this is the image which gives all of these analytical functions. No, I don't think this covers the total, but majority are these. Okay. Now, okay, before saying all the best, I just want to show you this. Okay, the scenario is already present here, but let me write one thing. Now, one small scenario, only one example, guys. I don't want to take long. I want my employee's salary. Along with that, I want his departmental investment also. Now, select ename, comma, sal from EMPE, comma, select department number, comma, sum of sal from EMP. I'm writing in one line, don't mind. Group by department number. Okay, I just want to put okay, fine. Where that's just this is what I want to say aggregates. Okay, where E dot department number is equal to A dot department. Okay, I'll just give an alias with sal sum. Okay, now here after this I'll say A dot, sorry, I'm doing a lot of mistakes. A of sal sum. Actually, I lost the touch. Now see, now when I run this, what do I get? Hopefully there are no errors. Okay, it is taking way too long, guys. Sorry for that. Yeah, see. Now to get this, I had to work a lot. See, this much query is needed. Now I had to do a join, which is costly, and over that, in that join, I have my aggregate also. So this is the problem. Now let me write the other query. Select ename, comma, sal, comma, sum of sal. over partition by department number from VM. Now let me run this. Okay, I'm not bothered about aliases. Okay, okay, this is my mistake, guys. I'm extremely sorry. I forgot the spelling. I'm extremely sorry. See, this is what. So both the outputs are same. But what is the problem? Here, it is taking, you have to do aggregation, then you have to do join and all. Here, with just one SQL query, I got it outright. So that is the advantage of analytical. That is why the focus is more on analytical functions. Okay, you can see all Windows functions, you can get it here. Okay, so that's it for today, guys, and I hope this helps, and all the best, and best of luck. Both are the same, but I want you to have more best, so that you crack your jobs. So please concentrate more on SQL also, guys. This is definitely going to help you. Okay, thank you, guys. Please, and finally, please do like, subscribe, share my channel Rayapati, and share with your friends who are actually working on Tableau and are stuck somewhere. And also in interviews, if you are having any problems, you can get back to me. Okay, I'll try to solve. I'll try to help as much as possible. I'm present on Telegram and Facebook also. So please come and ask me if you have any issues. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.